May the 4th is coming up, and look at the time. Better get started on this. I decided that I wanted to do a Star Wars build. May the 4th, Star Wars Day, coming up in a couple days. As you saw, it is the 2nd, 10 p.m, and I'm just starting this now. Hopefully this video will be up on the 4th. I think we can do it, guys. First thing I wanted to do was go through all my bits that were sitting on the desk. I think I can do this whole build with just things that are right around my table. Helps if you never clean up. And I'm going to build a speeder bike. I haven't decided if I'm going to use these wood sticks. Probably not. Styrene is an option, and also brass rod. I have some. It'll either be the styrene rod or this 2mm brass rod. First piece up on the chopping block is this dropper bottle for some eye drops. Get the top chopped off here. Peel the stickers off, get it all sanded up to be able to take paint and glue. I also have this Mario Kart toy. I think it was Yoshi. It's got these really nice side parts though, that I think look pretty sci-fi. And they're nice and symmetrical, so that helps. Quick tip here, if you want to see what something is going to look like, just cover it up with something to about where you want to cut it. It'll give you a good idea before you cut it, what it might look like. There we go. This is the spout from one of those juice pouches. And they got some really nice detail inside, and we'll chop that up to fit in there. Gonna have to file out a groove for this round end. And I want this to be nice and wide. So we're gonna have to cut an insert to go in here. I'm gonna use some styrene. I need a measurement of the bottom width. Just propping it open with my thumb. And I'll make the shape in cardstock first, just to see if we got a nice fit. And it looks like it's going to be good. So we'll use the cardstock template to trace it and cut it out of styrene. There we go, nice fit. We can trim the excess later. Glue it in there with some super glue. I think we can use the rest of that bottle for the front. Also, I found this little Hot Wheels base lying on my table. It helps to have so many car bits everywhere. I think we can make use of that. So I glued that front bit onto some styrene here. And I can cut it out after the glue is dried. The support was wobbling a bit, so I'll reinforce with some super glue and baking soda. This little plug cover is going to be a good way of spacing out and holding those rods. Don't need the centerpiece. Now I will glue these together. And I found another piece, I think this is from a printer or a CD player or something. That white plastic bit. Oh, I thought it looked pretty good. I used a little strip of EVA foam to give me more surface area to glue to. I used EVA foam for gluing a lot of the interior of my scratch-built spaceship. I had to chop the base a bit to get this thing to fit on top. And it was missing a little detail, something in the middle there. So I put in a super glue cap. Use a heat gun to temper for gluing. And paint adhesion. Rough up the surface a bit. I had to add a little sheet of styrene in between the base and the piece going on top. I'm going to need to cut off the back of this base. and just chopping things to make sure everything fits. And a different eyedropper bottle. Would have been good to make sure it was empty before cutting it. This one will get the heat treat as well. And that is a nice shape to make our seat. Just have to chop it up a bit. Threw it on with the rear backrest as well. And then I found a nice home for these little sci-fi bits from that Mario Kart. I scored the surface with a knife to aid in the adhesion. Next I took this little round bit of plastic. I think this was from an LED light. I chopped it in half and glued it on the bottom. And next I needed to make the front fins. Not really sure what these are, but they stick on the end of those rods coming out. And I kind of made them a two-tiered shape. And I stuck them onto the styrene. I did go with styrene. The brass was a bit too heavy, although it would have kept straighter than the styrene probably. It was just a bit too much. I kind of eyeballed a template here out of cardstock that would help put a little fin and fill a gap. Once I got that to the right shape, I put it on some styrene and traced it out. They fit pretty well. Need to help it in a bit there. There we go. Glued those guys in place and we were in business. I got some of these little cabochon stickers to go in just a couple places as well. And then I bent a paper clip for some handlebars. Cut some teeny tiny zip ties. I love using these as a sci-fi event detail. Really easy and effective. They take dry brushing and washes really well. And once those were stuck in place, I found another perfect shaped bit. Just had to chop it in half. And I glued those little ramps to the underside. Next I want to detail the seat with some more EVA foam. Get a roughly square shape. And I scored a cushion design into the foam. A really cool thing about EVA is when you heat it after scoring, it opens up all those cracks and whatever detail you've cut into it just pops out. Looks really cool. And we need a upper cushion as well. I did the same heat gun effect on that. And I glued another piece around the outside to give it that nice cushion appearance. Next thing I needed to do was to fill that gap. So I made a little detail out of styrene. This adds a bit of visual interest, but also it allows me to glue the handlebars in place. I added a couple little squares to the front, possibly some buttons and controls. Added the footrest / kickstand, and it was done. Only 4:30 in the morning, but it's still the 3rd. We have time. All primed up now. Time to get some paint on this thing. I did throw a little plastic BB in the back there, just to cap off how deep that hole went. And as you can see, I've wasted an entire day, and it is now 8:40 a.m. on the 4th, crunch time. But before we get on to painting, I think it would be nice to have a little base. I had this chunk of XPS lying on my desk as well, so maybe we'll use that. I want to say I saw this technique on Eric's Hobby Workshop, where you cut a lot of horizontal lines into your what will be your rock surface, and they become the rock striations. So after making all those cuts, I took my fingernails and scraped them up and down, just get those little chunks of foam all over my hands and all over my pants, all over my table, all over everything, and I couldn't forget to detail the top. But as you can see, these little bits of foam are coarse and annoying, and they get everywhere. Similar to the EVA foam, XPS foam reacts in an interesting way when you add heat to cuts. As you can see here, everything hardens and shrinks and opens up. That's going to look really cool later when we hit it with some dry brushing. Just using some black magic here, Mod Podge mixed with black paint. Now we can get on to painting the speeder bike. I wish I had some black primer, because I end up painting the entire bike black, except for some body panels, which I painted a ridiculously overmixed brown. There's about 6 or 7 colors in this brown, and I'm glad I don't have to replicate it because I could not tell you what's in it. So while that brown dries on the speeder bike, we'll mix up another brown, and I'll start painting this tasty little brownie dessert. Looks like someone's already taken a bite. I added progressively lighter colors until I got a nice light stone color. I added a little bit of turquoise dry brushing, and then a brown wash. And next was a metallic silver dry brush. I used this on the black parts of the chassis, as well as some weathering damage to the paint job and bare metal exposed. No rust on this one, but I did use a little bit of black wash for some shading and detail. Put some red on the handlebars there, maybe some buttons on the ends, and on the front as well. Not sure what these are, but it gave a little pop of color. And then I did a final black dry brush in select areas, as well as my weathering powder, aka crushed super cheap pastels. And there we go. It is still the 4th. It is about 1 p.m. and we are done. I added some weathering pigments to this rock formation as well. And hey, for a 1 to 2 day build, I'd say that's pretty sweet. It's not the most detailed thing that I've ever made, but it is my first Star Wars style build. I think it fits in pretty well with the aesthetic. Obviously, it's not anything that exists in Star Wars, but I'd like to think it could sit alongside some real Star Wars models and not look too out of place. I may have gone a bit heavy on the weathering, specifically that metallic silver, and the brown took way too many coats to get to a color that I liked, so yeah, the front could be a bit more brown, but I think it turned out pretty well. Let me know what you think. I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing. I know a lot of you have already hit that notification bell, which means you'll see this video as soon as I post it, along with other videos that I post. Love to talk to you down below in the comments section. Thanks for checking out this video. I'll see you on the next build, and may the 4th be with you.